Carolina rigging, guys, very important winter technique. I'm also good in the summertime, but fishing offshore winter where the water temperatures are stable. Anyway, I'd say for me, my comfort zone is 15, 25 foot would be a good old school Carolina rig. Some guys call it a ball and chain rig. So I'm just going to run through my tips, techniques, tactics, opinions on a Carolina rig. I'll show you the different rigs, a couple of different baits to throw on the Carolina rig, and talk about how you fish it. So sit back, relax, enjoy the video. So the first Carolina rigging option I'm going to show you is the brass Carolina pre-rig from Vak. So it looks like there. Let's pop it out for you guys. Very simple pre-made rig. Comes in two sizes, 3, 8.5 ounce, which are the sizes that you're going to need, you know, for depending on the water depth that you're fishing. Obviously a 1/2 ounce bit deeper, 3/8 ounce bit shallower, and that's your brass rig set up there. It's got your beads, it's got your weight, it's got your clacker, it's got your swivels. So obviously very, very easy to rig. You just tie your line on the one side and your line on the other side. So let me just do that for you quickly. So I'm just going to take my main line. That's my main line. This is going straight through to my rod and reel. This guy's line wise, Carolina rigging, I'm using 17-pound Brazix. 17-pound line for me is the way to go. I will go as heavy as 20. So 17, 20-pound fishing on the bottom, in the thick stuff, over rocks, timber, through timber, and all that kind of thing. So nice big heavy weight, big bait on the end. We'll get to the baits just now, but my line choice, my happy medium is actually a 17-pound line. So bear that in mind, but obviously whatever you think is going to work for you, that's chilled. So this is my main line. I'm just going to tie that brass Carolina rig on there. Okay, so that's just step one. I've just tied my main line to the top of the rig. Now I'm going to put my leader line on. Guys, so that's my leader line. For my leader line, I'm going to use a 15-pound Brazix. Now we can get over technical here. I don't think we need to really get technical, but you know, I've got my main line, I've got my Carolina rig. This is going to be the thing that's predominantly rubbing, you know, through the rock and through the trees, and I'm probably going to pick up most of my damage on the rig on this point here, because I've got a taut line from my rod tip and I'm dragging this through all the stuff. So most of my abrasion is going to happen on the main line over here. All right, so I can afford to, in my opinion, downsize to a 15. If I'm fishing a 20-pound main line, I might downsize to a 17-pound, you know. So just my leader line is kind of the weakest link in the rig. If my hook does get stuck, odds are that my leader line is going to break and I just need to replace my leader line. Okay, so I don't have to replace the entire rig. I'll just be losing that hook and I'll be losing that bait if I do get stuck with a hook. So that's a 15-pound. I use a lot of 15-pound line on my normal spools, so this is just an excess that's left over, and I'm just going to use it as a leader line. That way I'm never going to be eating into my main line. Okay, so I've just tied the leader line on there, and I'm probably going to do, look, I'm not good at length, so I'm going to start off with this kind of a concept like that for me. Okay, and then I'm going to tie my hook on. I'll show you what I'm left with there. It's probably 500 before the knot. Some guys get super technical on the Carolina rig with their leader lengths. Some guys are doing like a foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. For me, that's just kind of the technique that I use. It works, the bass eat it. So I'm going to cut it there, tie my hook on there. Okay, chaps, hook is on. Here's my rig here. So we're probably looking at, I don't know, 400, 450, half a meter. But that's a basic leader, guys. That'll do the job, 100%. I don't know if you can hear that, but I've got a whole lot of clacking. So I've got some beads. I've got like a clacker item here, like an amplifier, and this is going to make a lot of sound and commotion. So one of the reasons I like this rig is obviously the convenience of it, in terms of having this pre-rig. And obviously it's just got all those extra sounds. Obviously your bait is going to be behind it, but if you know, fishing in winter, fish are suspended close to the bottom. This thing's making a commotion, kicking up dust and drama and chaos down there. It's making that noise, and then along comes your plastic behind it. So yeah, there's a hell of a lot going on there. Maybe a bit overkill for some guys, but it catches fish. So maybe give it a try if it's something that appeals to you. Give it a try and see what happens. You might just be surprised. Hook choice, generally, chaps, I'm throwing bigger plastics on a Carolina rig. So I've got a KVD, Mustad KVD grip pin. It's a 4.0. I might do a 5.0, just depending on the size of the plastics. I'll get through to the baits with you just now, and we can run through that. Another hook, incredible value for money, guys, is these laser sharps made by Eagle Claw. This is a bulk pack, and I think these are selling at Bass Warehouse at the moment for 65 Rand for a bulk pack. This is a 4, there's 15 hooks here, 15 hooks for 65 Rand. So that's wild. I'm not sure how long they're going to be at that price, so just jump online, pop into the store and check it out. That's just incredible value. That's a very, very nice hook as well. So check those out. That could help you save you a whole bunch of money. So one of my favorite plastics on a Carolina rig is the Zoom Ultravap speedworm. You can check in this pack. I don't know if you can see there. Try and hold it up nice and close there, but there's like a residue. You'll see like there's a dry residue in the bag, and that is this stuff right here, bait fuel. So what I do with my plastics is I do an overnight marinade with bait fuel in the bag. I'll show you how to do that. But there's the worm. That's the Ultravap speed worm. This is SA special, fantastic color. Just a really, really nice bait. It's got a nice action to it, comes through the cover nicely. It catches fish flat out. In terms of what I was saying about marinating the plastics with bait fuel, guys, it's very simple. You just pop open the lid there. You can check this out online. Incredible fish attractant. It's a water-based fish attractant, and I'm not going to put any more in now because I've already got some in there. But what I do is I just marinate it. So I just drop in a nice drop there, probably like a teaspoon size, and then I just rub the plastics like that. After a while, obviously moisture will get absorbed into the plastic, so the bait fuel does get absorbed, and there's also some residue left in there. A few drops of water. It is a water-based attractant. Just a few drops. I don't want my baits to swell up and be dramatic, but have drama there. But a few drops of water back into the same packet, it's going to lube that whole situation up there again. I'm going to be ready to go. So these plastics have already absorbed some bait fuel into them, and I've still got some left over there, and the whole sort of process continues. So when you see that happen, guys, that's a good thing. It's still in there, and often at time I'll just add more plastics into the same bag. So for as long as this bag's in good shape, I'll just add another pack of worms into this same pack, and I'll just keep that whole marination process going. Works for me. I like it. For the critics out there, maybe it makes no difference, but that's all good. Hey, give it a try. Don't give it a try. Whatever works for you. I'm just showing you and telling you about things that I do that work for me, and I'm pretty sure that could work for you too. Okay, just in terms of rigging this particular plastic, obviously it's the normal Texas rig style. So I go in and out. There is a seam that runs all the way along the bait, so it makes it a lot easier to make sure that it's straight. The grip pin holds it in place. So just a standard normal Texas rig, and you'll notice one key element, what I've done there, guys. I've rigged that worm with the Ultravap side facing down. So that gives more action. If you check that out, there might be some underwater footage. Maybe I need to actually do some underwater footage at some stage and show you guys. But that's how I like to rig it. And that thing kicks up in the mud and the drama. Obviously your Carolina rig's going ahead causing the chaos, and then this sucker comes along behind it, and that gives off a lot of action, and also that would kick up the dust if it was sitting on the bottom, would kick up some dust and whatever. So I like to do that. It's definitely when you swim it, it's got more action when it's down than when it's up like that. So yeah, I'm not a physics expert, but I've seen it in action. So that's how I do it. Give that a crack. So in terms of the baits to use for a Carolina rig, and I'll run through a whole selection of baits now. It's such a versatile technique. Like there's so many different things that you can put on a Carolina rig. You know, technique, and so if you already have, which you would have, a whole range of confidence baits, it could be as easy as just transitioning, putting that bait onto a Carolina rig and going out and fishing. I'll run through stuff that I use. Maybe there's similarities, maybe there's differences, and you guys can give it a try and see if it works for you. The key in terms of technique with a Carolina rig, long casts, long cast is going to help you because you're going to have that more coverage. If you have electronics, it's going to help you a lot to be able to target rock piles, isolated rock piles, offshore timber, offshore foundations, broken down buildings, whatever it might be. Your electronics are going to help. Your forward-facing sonar is going to help you. Your 360 is going to help you. So whether you're using the Lowrance Active Target or using the Hummingbird 360, and obviously your fish tech charts are really key in that. You know, that's going to put you in the zone already, and then you can just refine it. I mean, they've got Ultra HD, so you can see the aerial like photography, like in high definition. So you can see where the rock piles are. You can mark them on your fish finder, and you can literally go straight there, drop your sneaker motor in, find it on the 360 and the forward-facing sonar, and you just cast straight onto the spot. So when you have the electronics and technology, obviously, you know, short circuits the process, and it really refines it. So electronics do help. That's why they exist. If you haven't got electronics, obviously it is a little bit more challenging, but you want to be fishing on the bottom. It's a bottom fishing technique. You want to be on that crunchy bottom, on those hard bottoms. Start off fishing points, because points generally always have hard bottom on them. Start fishing points from the shallow side to the deep side, or the deep side to the shallow side, coming across the points. So there's various ways. Just change your angle along those points. But that's just basically the technique. Long cast, slow retrieve, slow down when you feel those hard bottoms. This weight is obviously using a fluorocarbon line, it's sensitive. You're going to have transfer from that. So when that's grinding along rocks and things, you will feel it through your fluorocarbon and your rod tip, you know. Rod wise, I use a Pesca Carolina rod for this purpose. You know, it's a good ledge fishing rod. If you're fishing ledges, there's another technique where you can throw this. You know, if there's drop-offs and ledges, you can fish the top side of it. You can bring it up. So points, ledges, all that kind of stuff offshore. And that's, you know, that's why I fish the Carolina rod. So the rod itself is a 7'3", gives me a bit of extra length for a longer cast, and it can handle all the way up to 20-pound line and a 3/4 ounce weight. So Carolina rig, like half ounce of maybe we are mostly fishing, but I mean you can go to a 3/4 ounce, and maybe I'll show you that rig just now with an old school setup. Even if you're fishing a Texas rig, like a 3/4 ounce Texas rig, that's another option there. So that's the kind of rod. So check the rod you've got in your boat or your kick boat, or if you're bank angling, check what you've got. I mean, there's nothing, there's no reason you're not going to catch fish fishing bank angling with a Carolina rig. Throw it out. I mean, you're casting off the bank into the deeper water. Anyway, this time of the year, the water's more stable. In the winter time, in deeper water, you get that down to the bottom and you slowly work that Carolina rig back to the bank. So it's really a technique for everyone. So just running through my confidence baits at the moment regarding Carolina rigging. It'll apply to some other offshore techniques as well, but let's just focus on the Carolina rig for now. Would be that Zoom Ultravap speedworm. This is a deadly bait. This is a missile bait destroyer. This color is called California Love. Very, very nice bait, deadly on a Carolina rig. A similar bait to that would be this Googon bait's Trench Hog. It's got a similar profile. Very good bait and dams that's got like the craws. Like if we fish Goedertro, for example, there's craws in there, yabbies. Not exactly sure what they're called, but they got these long sort of tentacles. And I like the destroyer because of that, and I like the Trench Hog because of that. So if there are those craws with those long tentacles in the areas and the ponds, the dams that you're fishing, have a look at that as an option. It really imitates it really well. Also good on the back of the jig, but that's a separate video. And you've got your 7.25 inch Mondo worm, which is basically like a crossover between a curly tail worm and a ribbon tail worm, and a 7.25 inch. That's going to be good on the back of a Carolina rig for sure. There's the 10-inch model as well. I've caught a lot of fish on this item. Don't be scared, guys. 10, 11, 12-inch worms. My PB at Ananda before the one I just caught now was 5.14. That was fishing offshore. It was a Texas rig, so it wasn't a Carolina rig, but that was on a custom 12-inch worm. So 12-inch worm, I haven't been able to get them since, but they catch big worms, do catch big fish. You'll still get a limit on it, but 12-inch worm. So yeah, that 10 inches, don't be scared of a 10-inch worm. Staying with big plastics, this is the Zoom Old Monster. It's a 10.5-inch worm. So it's actually a bit meatier than that Mondo worm, the 10-inch Mondo worm that I just showed you. I think this is a beautiful color. This is California 420. 10.5-inch length, nice meaty section there, and then there's this nice ribbon tail at the end. So that's really, really nice. Then you've got the Zoom Mag 2. That's just a smaller version of that Old Monster. So that's a nice, maybe start off if you're a bit uncomfortable throwing the big worm and you want to get out there and get some bites. Maybe start with this guy here and then get a couple of bites, put a couple of fish in the boat and then go up. I think when you do go up though, you need to consider hook size. So when the 4 is perfect in that speed worm, that Ultravap speed worm 4. When I start going 10-inch Mondo and 10.5-inch Old Monster, I'm going up to a 5.0 hook. Okay, if I'm going smaller than this, I'll go to a 3.0. Another fascinating bait, guys, it's incredible and strange all at the same time. I've caught some serious fish on this as well. I was actually introduced to this plastic when we went and fished claw in Zimbabwe for the President's Test, and Lawrence Matheson was on the boat with me, and this is something that he showed me on a Texas rig, fishing standing timber, great wintertime technique. So we can talk about that as well in a different video on how to go about that, but he really lit them up on this guy right here. It is a Zoom Z-Craw worm. It's a 7-inch long worm, and it's got like the appendages on the bottom here that you'd find on a Z-Craw. So it's a very, very unique worm. It's pretty out there, but bass love it, so that's something definitely to check out as well. Then we get the Googon blazing worm, and that's a very similar, comes in the clamshell packaging, and that's guys, this is very, very similar to the Zoom one that I showed you. Let's just do a comparison quickly. I'll show you. So Okeechobee craw color, so that's what it looks like there, and there's the Zoom version. So it's very, very similar. This seems to be a teeny bit thicker, but yeah, much of a muchness. So there is a Googon option as well if you like that. Slaunch sauce. I think one of the differences on this though, in comparison, if you look closely at that tail there, it's got a very sort of, it's got a much more aggressive tail to it. It's got the flanges on it. So this does give off more action than the Zoom Ultravap, in my opinion, because it's got all those flanges on it, catches the water. It's quite thin down the bottom here. So there's quite a lot of plastic. So you've got the thin section here and then quite a lot of plastic. So when that moves, obviously the weight here is going to cause that. So this is more aggressive. So now you've got the opportunity of the more subtle and the more aggressive. So you can just work that out. Just depends what's happening on the day, how aggressive the fish are. You know, trying different things. We know what these bass are like. You know, you've got to try different things to get the big ones to bite. Another deadly bait for many, many years, Albert Falls killer as well, Goedetrooi killer as well, 8-inch big dead ringer from Zoom. You do get it in the 6-inch as well. Yeah, that thing, that lights them up as well, guys. So check that out, give that a try. A lot of these baits could be sitting in your tackle box already. You haven't used them for years. Dig them out, put them on the Carolina rig, get out there, catch some fish, guys. Like, this thing's been around for like ever. Zoom trick worm, most of you guys will know about it. It's a longer version of the finesse worm. Very good on the Carolina rig, guys. I'd probably put a 3.0 hook in that. It's a more slender, subtle presentation. So if they're a little bit finicky, maybe you can downsize to that. Not as aggressive action, just a normal straight tail trick worm. Get it down to the bottom, move it across there. There's a trick that I do with these as well, and some other plastics. I'll show you that now. And if all else fails, guys, you can go to the good old school, good old faithful Zoom finesse worm. I mean, you can't get more finessey than that. They're really, really good. You could probably put a 4-inch Senko on as well in an emergency, but I'm hoping you don't have to get to that point. I'm hoping these bigger baits are going to get you the bigger bites. Also, big bang for your buck when it comes to these baits. Check them out. These are the Zoom trick worms. There's 20 in a pack, 20 baits in a pack. Most pack sizes are like 10 packs, 8 pack, 12 pack. So there's huge value for money on these baits as well. The Zoom Mag 2s that I showed you earlier, 20 in a pack. So there's 20 ribbon tails. I mean, that's a lot of baits, eh? So for the price, value for money. Chaps, then we have the Googon version, which is the Googon Slim Shake. Here it is here. This is a 6.5-inch straight tail worm, perfectly packaged in its clamshell packaging or blister packaging. For the guys that are like OCD, and it just seems to be more and more like when the more time I spend with more guys fishing Presidents or Protea or whatever the tournament is, nationals, the more I see how many of us are in the same way. We want things to be dead straight every time. Everything needs to be perfect. So if you like that, if you're into that, that will appeal to you as well, but also a really, really great worm. So these will come out straight every time. You won't have to do the dipping to try and in the hot water, which I can do in another video. If you've got any bent plastics, I can show you exactly how to fix them. It takes like a minute. So there it is there. It's nice textured worm. This is a green pumpkin purple, so it's a laminate color. Got a real nice range of colors. This is nice. This is really, really nice. Slim worm, and it's got that sort of bulb on the bottom there. So really nice action. Caught a ton of fish on this. It's going to definitely perform on a Carolina rig, so check that out. Guys, and then something that will be very, very interesting to a lot of people, I suspect, would be the Googon Saucy Swimmer. That thing on the back of a Carolina rig steering up the silt. It's a paddle tail. This is a 4.8 inch size. It's a big one. It's going to create a lot of commotion. It's a different profile. It's on the bottom being dragged behind there, guys. You won't be disappointed. Give it a try. It does seem a bit out there. Normally with swim baits or soft swim baits, it's a cast and wind, or you put them on the back of a big swim jig, weighted belly hook, underspin hook, those kinds of things. Put that on the Carolina rig, guys. You'll be very, very, very surprised. So there's another little secret nugget for you. Tip that a lot of us use, when I say we, tournament anglers use, that maybe some people watching this video do not know, is spark it. What do we do to our plastics? The chartreuse garlic seems to be the most popular, and also you get the zoom pen as well. And I'll just show you why there's two and why you can't just buy one, or you could, but if you've got both, it makes your life a lot easier. So your spark kit, as mentioned, is the one that is predominantly used is the garlic flavored, so it's got a very, very strong smell of garlic on it. And it's got that bright chartreuse color. You'll have oranges, you'll have red, orange, different colors, but my one of choice that I'm using 90% of the time is the chartreuse garlic. Nice strong scent. What's nice about the combination of this with the bait fuel is the bait fuel doesn't smell of anything, and it's a bit ridiculous to think that, but we can't smell it. The fish can pick up on it, and you can go check on YouTube, bait fuel, go check it out. So I don't have, the point is, I don't have a clash. I don't have this as some craw or shad, squeeze shad attractant, like the old school scents, or even a garlic, even a coffee spray or whatever. There's been a lot of things over the years. This seems to be the one that's got the most laboratory testing. So this seems to be the one that's doing all the damage. I'm very excited about it. I caught my PB using this. I was throwing the net bait dagger at Ananda a month back. I had Stephen Froelich out on the boat with me. It was a great day. Got a 3 something and a 5.29, and I was using the bait fuel and the net bait dagger. So yeah, obviously you can imagine, I've got supreme confidence in this. So I haven't got the clash of flavors between the garlic and the bait fuel. The bait fuel can go with anything, even if there's like on the slaunch shores that you get on the Googon. I mean, there's no clash of flavors. So I'm going to be juicing everything with bait fuel. That's just how it is. Getting back to the point of talking about what I do with these guys here. Okay, guys. So this is the Zoom trick worm, and this is the spark kit. It's just a liquid dip. Very simply, what I do there, guys, is that little section at the bottom here. Excuse the wind, guys, a bit windy, but just like less than a centimeter at the bottom. I'm just going to dip that straight into the spark kit, and it's going to just make that little tail section pop with chartreuse. And that really has, over many, many years, been a very, very popular way, or very popular, I don't know if it's a superstition, if it's a habit, or what you want to call it, but we do it and it works, and the fish eat it. So that's something that I'll add on all of my baits. Okay, sometimes I can't use the dip though, and then I move to the Zoom pen. The pen is unscented, so there again, it doesn't smell like nothing. And this is an example where I'd use it. So this is the Z-craw worm that I spoke about earlier. Now all I want to be doing, literally, is just those little appendages there. I just want to get the chartreuse on there. It's very difficult to judge when you're using the dip, but it's very, very easy when you're using the pen. You can be really, really specific, and you can just go on the outsides, just a tiny bit at the back section. So it just gives you that precision flexibility. So that is something that we definitely do. More often than not, it's all on the lighter plastics, when we're throwing a green pumpkin, watermelon red, those kinds of colors. Some guys do it on June bugs and blacks. It's not as predominant. It's just up to you. So there's another tip that's definitely going to help you. I think it'll help you put an extra couple of fish on the boat. So another challenge that you'll have with this bucket, which is why you've got the pen as well, is, you know, there's only a, let me just open the sucker. You want to be real careful with that. So that's the diameter of the lid. It's only so wide. So certain baits like your bigger craws and stuff like that, your speed craws, your magnum speed craw, your brush hogs, your bigger baits, even that Z-craw worm, you can't really get it inside there. So, you know, that this is going to obviously give you that level of precision where you don't have to worry about dipping in and how far you're going in, any of that. You know, you just mark where you want to mark it, and that's it, done and dusted. When it comes to your straight tail worms as well, it just depends how OCD you are, you know. When it comes to your trick worm, let me pull them out again. If you specifically want to only do like the first 3 ribs on that worm, then you're going to need to use the pen, because this is a little bit of a guessing game when you're dipping it in. So it just depends, but at least both options are available to you, so you can either have both or choose whichever one you want. Okay, jumping back then to the other Carolina rigs. I've shown you the brass one, the pre-ready rig, but let me show you the old school standard one. So this is a lead egg weight. Go straight onto your main line, and then from there you've got a choice to make. You've got a glass bead or you've got a 4-speed. So you've got the glass bead. It comes in 2 sizes as well, so you can check that out, to 8mm and a 6mm. This is the 8mm, bigger is better. So that goes on, and that's obviously also going to make that same sound that I referred to earlier. From there we tie on a swivel. So this is just a VAC power swivel. Okay, so there I've tied up my old school, let's call it an old school Carolina rig or traditional Carolina rig. 1/2 ounce egg weights, 8mm red glass bead. That is protecting the knot, and it's making a little bit of a sound as well. Lead is obviously dull compared to tungsten, so there is obviously a tungsten option I'll show you as well. So that works in unison. There's your swivel, and then we carry on, and there's our plastic. So that would be your standard Carolina rig. When obviously this is going to go on the bottom, so just bear with me. There it goes on the bottom. Your plastic's going to come behind it. This is a free running rig, so you can see that what I mean by free running is it's not pegged. The weight and the bead are sliding along the line. Okay, so when that is on the bottom like that, I can lift this bait up, and everything still on the bottom. There's no resistance. So if a bass, if they're finicky and they pick up on this, and you can feel the tap in the line through your fluorocarbon, the fish picks it up and starts to swim away with it. He doesn't feel any of this rig. He doesn't feel any weight in his mouth. Off he goes. So that's also one of the advantages of the Carolina rig when done in this form. Let me show you the tungsten version now. Chaps, as mentioned, you could do this with tungsten as well. This is a Googon tungsten weight. This is a 3/4 ounce. And the reason I've gone with a 3/4 ounce is I just want to show you the size comparison between the 3/4 ounce tungsten and the 1/2 ounce lead. So you just pop it out the tube. It comes in the packaging. It's got the weight printed onto it, so that's quite nice. I like that a lot. So when they're in your tackle box and they're all mixed up, if they do get to that situation, at least the size is on there, you know what size you're dealing with. There's your 1/2 ounce lead, and there's your 3/4 ounce tungsten. That 3/4 ounce weight is smaller, very similar. Arguably, let's use the word arguably smaller, very, very similar to that. Obviously, we know tungsten is super expensive, so you know it's obviously for hardcore oaks that maybe don't want to have the lead, but there is a tungsten option obviously available to you as well. It's going to make a lot more sound on the bottom. It's a smaller profile, so you're probably going to be able to cast that further as well because it's smaller and heavier, so it should travel further, but that's not going to get snagged up as much. So if you went with a 1/2 ounce tungsten, it would be smaller than that, is what I'm saying. So if you've got that much volume and you're able to fish it without getting stuck, you could actually upsize to a 3/4 ounce. And what that's going to also do crucially is keep bottom contact, because that's what you want to be doing with this rig. You want to have bottom contact all the time with this rig. So that means you can switch to tungsten, you can go to a 3/4 ounce, you can cast it a mile, and it's going to be able to come through everything that this comes through. It's got the bullet shape to it. It is a flipping weight, but guys, that works fantastically well on a Carolina rig. When it comes to the bead, the glass bead, tungsten and glass beads don't really go well together. So you have the option of a tungsten 4-speed. It comes in a 6mm and it comes in an 8mm as well. So you can choose your size preference, and you're going to use that instead of your glass bead. Okay, so rigging up the tungsten one. with a flipping weight. That goes onto the main line first, and then I put my 4-speed on there. Okay, so this is our tungsten Carolina rig. You got your tungsten 3/4 ounce weight there. It's a flipping style weight. Don't worry about that, guys. It comes through the cover really well. You can see it's actually pulling down on the line. It's nice and heavy. It's going to get down to the bottom, like I mentioned. And there's your tungsten 4-speeder. Can you see how it actually sticks to the tungsten? So now I've got knot protection. When I'm going over rocks and cover, if this separates, it's difficult for you to hear it on the mic. But can you see how it jumps back? So if this gets bumped and separated, when they get close, it actually makes a sound as they click together again, and then it clicks to the swivel as well. So this rig, that magnet, the tungsten 4-speed that magnetizes, always wants to now attract to the tungsten and to that swivel. Sounds good. So yeah, in addition to it obviously going along the bottom, making its own sound, it's going to have that bit of clacking as well, and that bead's not going to shatter like the glass. So that's why we use the tungsten 4-speed. They're inexpensive as well. Check them out on Bass Warehouse, you'll be sorted. Same story there, guys. Cast it out on the bottom, fish picks up the Carolina rig, everything's free running, doesn't feel any of the weight. You'll feel it load up on your rod tip and you're sorted. So that's the tungsten way of doing Carolina rig. So you cast it out, hits the bottom like that. You can see now everything is separated. I lift my rod tip as you would drag your Carolina rig, and watch what happens here, how it clicks into place. So here's an example. It's on the bottom. Let's see if this can pick up the sound for you guys. So you move you're dragging your Carolina rig, and there's your clicking sound there. So that's the tungsten Carolina rig, guys. That's pretty much the basics of a Carolina rig. The tungsten, the lead version, the old school ball and chain version, the pre-rig version, the technique on how to fish it. You can obviously fish it in any depth, but I predominantly fish it 15 to 25 foot. That's kind of my comfort zone. If there's something juicy out to 30 foot, you can even go as deep as that. I think some of the guys fishing in deeper venues and smallmouth like Clan William, man, I think they're fishing like 40 foot. So check it out. There's my tips, tricks, and information and opinions on a Carolina rig. Definitely going to catch you fish, guys. If you persist with it in the right areas, it's definitely going to catch you fish. And it's not a technique that you can cover a lot of water with it, because it's a long sort of strike zone. It's a long cast straight to the bottom, and you bring it back towards yourself. Obviously, if you're more target fishing with your electronics, then you're just fishing it in those high percentage areas. It's on the bottom, it's low and slow. You don't need to rush the technique. You want that weight on the bottom at all times. Then you know that your bait is relatively close behind, and the fish are going to pick up on those vibrations of that sinker, whether it be the lead one or the tungsten one. Obviously the tungsten one's going to make a bit more of a commotion and make more sound, but they'll pick up on those sounds, those vibrations, and then they're going to go down. If they suspend it off the bottom, they're going to go down and they're going to eat it. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy the video. I hope it's informative. Keep the comments coming. Hit follow, hit like, subscribe on YouTube, and let's keep the videos going, guys. Awesome stuff.